biofans, Anya here from the Biography Wrap, and today we are going to explore the life of Abraham Lincoln through the movie Lincoln, directed by Steven Spielberg. The story begins amid a battlefield. The soldiers battle each other fiercely with swords, bayonets, fists, and hand-to-hand combat in a muddy field. President Lincoln converses with two men, Private Harold Greene and Corporal Ira Clark, and they discuss the Battle of Jenkins Ferry. Lincoln appreciates the bravery of the 2nd Kansas Colored Infantry, but Corporal Ira complains about Negro soldiers' lower wages. Lincoln asks him what he will do after the Civil War, and Corporal Clark replies that he'll work and maybe he will hire him. Two white soldiers recite his speech from Gettysburg, but are called away by their companies. Corporal Ira Clark finishes his speech and quotes the iconic line, "The government of the people, for the people, by the people, shall not perish from the earth." In January 1865, Mary Lincoln expresses concerns over Lincoln's dreams. She gets migraines and believes they occur due to a failed assassination attempt when she had the carriage accident. Lincoln's Secretary of State William Seward tells Lincoln that they do not have full support from Democrats yet. They are still 20 votes short. Lincoln tells him that 64 new Democrats have been elected and that they can lobby them for the votes. Seward asks a couple from Jefferson City if they would support the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery after the war has ended. The lady hesitates but tells them that they wouldn't want the amendment passed because they would lose their workforce and suffer economic losses. Lincoln understands that he must meet with Preston Blair, founder of the Republican Party, for his support. Preston Blair supports his bill and wants to meet with Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederate States, and offer peace terms. Lincoln agrees and Preston Blair leaves for Richmond. Lincoln meets with his cabinet as they discuss the assault on Wilmington Port. His cabinet members argue that instead of focusing the nation's attention on Wilmington, why is it being diverted towards the 13th Amendment, which is bound to lose in the House of Representatives? They say that the Emancipation Proclamation has made the slaves free in the war. Lincoln shares a humorous anecdote with them. He exclaims that he will sign the amendment come February 1st, as he feels it is within his power. He wishes that his cabinet would provide him with their robust support. Lincoln and Seward ask James Ashley, the amendment's manager, to present the anti-slavery bill in the House of Representatives, but Ashley refuses to do so. Lincoln persuades him to talk to Thaddeus Stevens, the leader of the Radicals of the Republican Party, to gain more support. Seward recruits 3 lobbyists, W.N. Bilbo, Robert Latham, and Richard Shell, to propagate the cause. He gives them permission for offering jobs only and nothing illegal. A heated debate commences in the House between pro-slavery politicians and anti-slavery ones. Robert Lincoln's eldest son comes back to visit his family. He meets with Taddy, his brother, and his mother. Preston informs Lincoln that Jefferson Davis sent 3 delegates to negotiate terms of peace. Preston urges him to consider peace, even if it is a hard pill to swallow. The lobbyist had managed to overturn 6 votes of yes. Seward tells it to Lincoln, who is pleased but tells him to keep working for those 13 remaining votes. Seward expresses his concern over rumors spreading about President Blair traveling to Richmond to meet with Confederate delegate on his behest. He is displeased with him, as this 2-pronged approach will undoubtedly lead to dismissal and disarray. Lincoln tells him that the Confederate men aren't here yet, so he should focus on finding the 13 votes. Senator Hunter, Judge Campbell, and Alexander Stephens, Vice President of the Confederacy, reach U.S. Army headquarters in Virginia. Robert tells his father that he cannot concentrate on law anymore. He wants to contribute to his country and join the army. Mrs. Keckley, the housemaid, informs Lincoln that Mary is in Willie's room. The couple lost their son 3 years ago. Molly cries about losing her son because of the political lifestyle, but Lincoln comforts her. At the grand reception on the 15th of January, Thaddeus Stevens and Mary Lincoln share some seething comments. Lincoln tries to make Thaddeus understand that he needs to minimize his fervor. As for now, the country is not ready for an equal life. Thaddeus is very staunch as he talks of an equal vote and representations of the Negroes. Lincoln tells him to be soft on his stand when he talks the floor of the House. Lincoln undresses Mary and informs her that Robert wishes to enlist in the army. Mary doesn't support his wish as she doesn't want to lose her son. Lincoln is called away as the Wilmington bombings begin. To lighten the mood, Lincoln tells a hilarious story about a gentleman who traveled to London after the Revolutionary War, and when he was questioned about the portrait of George Washington in a water closet, they get a message that the fort has been conquered, but the city of Wilmington has not surrendered. They incur a lot of casualties. The opposing Democrats plot to enrage Stevens when he takes the floor. They also bully the representative who turned his vote for anti-slavery. The lobbyists face resistance from others due to rumors of a Confederate meeting. Lincoln sends a message to General Ulysses Grant to take the Confederate delegates from Hampton Roads, Virginia. Robert visits an army hospital with his father, where he witnesses a pit full of body parts. Robert's ambitions doesn't lessen as he walks away after being slapped by Lincoln. Mary and Lincoln squabble over their shared grief and shout at each other. Lincoln tells her that it's Robert's decision and that we must carry our burden. Mary warns him that he shall be unanswerable to her if he fails to procure the votes. Lincoln visits Bilbo, Latham, and Shell and appreciates their procurement of 11 votes. They inform him about the different candidates that need to be persuaded, like George Yeoman, Hutton, and others. Lincoln personally talks to these gentlemen and tries to convince them to vote for the amendment. He convinces with Seward, Ashley, and others and wants them to ensure that they gather all the remaining votes. On the day of the vote, a group of Black people enter the House of Representatives for the first time. James Ashley opens the floor for the voting on the 13th Amendment to the National Constitution. He invites George Pendleton, leader of the opposing Democrats, to make a brief statement. On taking the floor, Pendleton informs the House of the confirmation of the rumor of commissionaries arriving in Washington. He moves to postpone the vote, and chanting begins. Preston Blair gives a sign, and the conservative Republicans second the vote. Shell and Bilbo run to President Lincoln and present him with the problem. Lincoln asks if that's all that is required, and he asks Bilbo to deliver a note to Ashley. Ashley reads that the president has denied any peace commissionaries in the city or are likely to be. The conservative Republicans are satisfied with the answers as they table the motion to postpone. The clerk, Mr. McPherson, begins to call for the vote. George Yeoman turns his vote to yes, as do two others from Ohio. After the voting is done, the Speaker, Mr. Colfax, casts his vote as well, which is highly unusual. He casts it as a yes. The count comes out to be 8 abstaining, 56 against, and 119 for, thus passing the amendment by a margin of 2 votes. Lincoln and Tad hear the cannons blasting as the celebrations begin. Ashley is raised in the air as Yeoman and the others sing Union songs. Pendleton makes a sour face and leaves, and Theodus Stevens asks McPherson for the official bill. He carries it to his house and presents it to his housekeeper, who is also his wife. He lays down in his bed as she reads the bill, and his eyes swell up. Lincoln and Stuart meet with the commissioners. The Southern commissioners want the amendment ratified, but Lincoln denies doing so. Senator Hunter walks out, but Lincoln continues to talk of peace and tells them that their actions have proved that democracy is not chaos, but an invisible force of the people's union. They can cohere even after such a monstrosity as war befalls them. Lincoln visits Wilmington and sees the fields full of deceased bodies. General Grant talks to him and tells him to lead us out of this war. Lincoln and Mary take a carriage ride in the open and talk about visiting Jerusalem. He tells her that she should try to be happier. They visit a theater where an announcement is made that the president was shot. On Saturday, April 15, Lincoln departs for heaven, surrounded by his friends and family. The movie showcases his speech at Gettysburg, where he talks of a united nation. That's it from the movie Lincoln. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing. Let me know what you think of this truly inspirational story, and make sure to check out this next one.